My name's Adam. Most days, you'll see me in my sharp uniform patrolling the charming streets of Crestwood, a picturesque little town hidden among the Colorado mountains. I'm your regular small-town cop. Never had a day's trouble more significant than rescuing Mrs. Riley's fat tabby from the community oak. I wasn't always this mountain town cop, though. Born and bred in Kansas, amidst acres of golden corn, I was a farmer's boy before the charm of cop shows and the lure of chasing criminals won me over. The police academy. The excitement, the nerves, it seems like a lifetime ago. Fast forward a few years, a couple of accidental turns, and voila, Crestwood happened. And God, did I fall in love with this place. Now, let's talk about Lily, my Lily. The woman who stole my heart and made this humble town feel like home. We have two little ones, Ben and Sarah. Two bubbly souls, their laughter echoing in our cozy Elm Street house. Lily, a true artist with flowers, runs the town's only florist shop. Walking into her shop is like stepping into a vibrant painting. Colorful blooms dancing around my radiant Lily. It's a sight that'd make your heart sing. Our life was as close to perfect as it could get. We lived in a cozy 2-story house, white picket fence included, the very picture of the American dream. Life was quiet, peaceful, and I was content. I was living a love story everyone in Crestwood admired and aspired to. Things changed though, and not for the better. I started working nights, more nights than I should have. It started eating at me, turning my beloved job into an inescapable routine. I was physically present, but mentally, I was miles away. Then entered Carl, an old high school friend, a self-proclaimed artist. He was a man of culture, carrying an air of sophistication I never quite understood. Carl started visiting Lily's shop more often than necessary. They shared a love for art, something that I, unfortunately, couldn't appreciate. Picasso, Monet, names that didn't resonate with me, became part of their regular chatter. It felt innocent initially, but with time, I started sensing a shift. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but it was there. Each passing day, it felt like I was losing a part of Lily, and it hurt. It stung worse than a hornet. I noticed the changes, ever so subtle, ever so heart-wrenching. Those stolen glances between Lily and Carl when they thought I wasn't looking. Their hushed laughter, the spark in Lily's eyes that once used to be for me. It was like I was losing her bit by bit, day by day. Gone were our late-night talks under the soft moonlight. Gone were our morning coffee dates when the sun's first rays would play hide and seek with Lily's auburn hair. Gone were the loving smiles, the lingering kisses, and the words of love whispered into each other's ears. It felt like my world was crumbling, one brick at a time, and all I could do was stand there, watching it all fall apart. It wasn't just about me. Our kids, Ben and Sarah, they could sense it too. They were young, yes, but kids have a way of picking up on things, don't they? I saw their confusion, their hurt, their innocent eyes questioning why Daddy was working so late and why Mommy looked so sad. It broke my heart a little more every time I looked at them. The turning point, that gut-wrenching moment, came in the form of a call. It was a crisp Tuesday afternoon. I was at work, dealing with a burglary report, when my phone buzzed. An unknown number. I picked up, expecting it to be another citizen in distress, but what I heard was a voice, distorted, anonymous, shaking me to my core. The voice said Lily was having an affair. It hit me like a ton of bricks. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The room started spinning, and I could hear my heartbeat in my ears. It felt like a sick joke, a nightmare that I was desperate to wake up from. But it wasn't. It was reality, a harsh, cold, brutal reality. With a heavy heart and a mind filled with dread, I began keeping tabs on Lily. I started noticing things I hadn't before. Her frequent trips to the flower shop even on her days off, her constant texting, the way her eyes lit up every time Carl's name came up. It felt like I was looking at a stranger, not the woman I had spent a decade of my life with. It was the little things that hurt the most. The missing wedding ring on her finger, the forgotten dates, the cold side of the bed that once used to be warm with her presence. But then, the storm hit. I found text messages, not to Carl, but from him. Messages filled with affection and care, the kind I used to get from Lily. It broke me, piece by piece, word by word. And then, the unthinkable happened. Late one night, I saw them. Lily and Carl, in his car, sharing a moment that was meant to be ours. I could see Lily, my Lily, in another man's arms, and there was nothing I could do about it. It was like watching a train wreck in slow motion, horrifying but impossible to look away from. I was torn between confronting them and nursing my bruised heart. My world had shattered into a million pieces, and I was left to pick them up. Every day was a struggle, a battle between wanting to scream out loud and burying my feelings deep within. I felt anger, pain, betrayal, but above all, I felt a sense of loss. A loss of love, a loss of trust, a loss of a life I once knew. Through it all, I realized something. Lily and Carl didn't just share a friendship or a shared interest. They shared something much more profound, something much more intimate. They shared a bond, a connection that was hard to put into words. It was then I realized Lily wasn't just cheating on me. She was in love with him. And that was the hardest pill to swallow. Betrayal is one thing, but love changes the equation. Love meant that Lily wasn't mine anymore. She hadn't been for a while now. It was a revelation that shook me to my very core. Lily's affair wasn't just physical, it was emotional, something far more intimate and far more painful to bear. So there I was, living a lie, drowning in my sorrow, unable to voice my pain. I was a police officer, yet I felt powerless. The uniform that once made me feel invincible was now just a reminder of my shattered life. Life in Crestwood was no longer the same. The small-town charm had faded, replaced by the bitter taste of deceit. Beneath the crushing pain and the whirlwind of betrayal, there was a simmering rage growing within me, ready to erupt any moment. For days, I couldn't look at myself in the mirror. Couldn't bear to see the reflection of a man whose life was unraveling right in front of him. My own home felt like a stranger's house. I felt lost, alone, discarded. But then, I started noticing something. The signs were subtle at first. Late-night phone calls, whispering into the receiver like she didn't want to be heard. The faint smell of cologne on her clothes, a scent that wasn't mine. The way her eyes danced with an unspoken secret. I ignored them, shoved them down deep, not ready to face the truth. But truth has a way of surfacing, no matter how deep you bury it. A text message popped up on her phone one day while she was in the shower. It was from Carl. "I miss you, my love," it read. Reading those words, my heart sank to the pits of my stomach. It felt like I was sinking, drowning in a sea of betrayal and lies. Every moment of our shared life played out like a tragic movie in my head. The laughs, the tears, the promises of forever, all turned into a nightmare in the blink of an eye. Every memory was tainted. Every picture of us was a painful reminder of what I had lost. Life had thrown a cruel twist my way. It was as if I was in a boxing ring, and each revelation was a brutal punch in the gut. I wanted to confront them, to let out the rage bubbling inside me, but I held back. Not yet, I told myself. Not yet. Days turned into weeks, and the pain didn't subside. It was like an open wound, raw and painful. I became a shell of my former self, putting on a brave face for the world while crumbling inside. The nights were the hardest, each passing hour a battle with my own demons. One night, I drove past Carl's house. The lights were dim, and there was Lily's car parked in his driveway. My heart throbbed in my chest as I saw them through the window. A casual touch, a shared laughter, an intimate glance. It was all there, right in front of me. My world came crashing down again. The pain of betrayal is a unique one. It's a stab in the back, a punch in the gut, and a slap in the face all at once. You think you know a person, share your life, your secrets, your dreams with them, and then one day, you find out it was all a lie. It's a pain that lingers, a wound that doesn't heal, a scar that doesn't fade. It's a constant reminder of a love that was, a trust that was broken, a life that was shattered. I was no longer the same man. The man who was once full of life was now just a shell of his former self. I was hollowed out, void of any feeling, any emotion. My heart was heavy, my soul was crushed. Yet, there was a part of me, a tiny part, that refused to give up. That part knew it was time to fight back, time to reclaim my life. One icy evening, I gathered my strength and drove to Carl's place where I knew Lily would be. I felt an unyielding force within me. This was it, my confrontation day. I knocked on the door and was greeted with stunned silence as they saw me. I stood tall, hands trembling slightly but my voice steady. "You know," I started, my words slicing the silence. All this time, I felt like a fool, the last to know about this twisted love story. The accusation hung in the air, unchallenged. Lily tried to interject, but I continued. "I trusted you, Lily, trusted you with my heart, my life, but you played me for a fool, used me as your cover-up." Looking at Carl, I spat out, "And you were my friend, Carl, but you chose to stab me in the back." I saw him flinch, his eyes dropping to the floor. The hurt, the anger, the betrayal, everything was bubbling inside me. A tide of emotions was ready to crash, but I held back. It was my turn to hurt them now, my turn to play my cards. Days turned into weeks as I meticulously planned my move. I made sure that every step I took was precise, every action calculated. I started by spreading whispers about their affair in our small town. Bit by bit, rumors started to float around. People began to notice their closeness, their shared glances, their secretive talks. Then, one evening, I invited the entire town to a farewell party. The stage was set. As everyone arrived, they noticed a display set up in the living room. It was a slideshow of all the evidence I had collected. Images of Lily and Carl's secret rendezvous, their exchanged messages, their lies. I watched as their faces turned pale. Their smiles faded, their secrets laid bare in front of the whole town. The shocked gasps were music to my ears, the horrified faces a sight to behold. The betrayal that I had felt was now replaced by a grim satisfaction. The curtain had fallen on their deceitful act. Their secret was out, their lies exposed. They were now the talk of the town, the center of the scandal they never intended to be a part of. In the end, I moved out of Crestwood. I didn't want to live in a town filled with memories of betrayal and heartbreak. I filed for divorce and left behind the woman I had loved so deeply, and the friend I had trusted blindly. I didn't feel victorious, but I felt free. Free from the shackles of deceit and betrayal. Free from a love that was never mine. I wasn't the same naive, trusting man anymore. I was stronger, harder, tougher. I had lost a love, but I had found myself. I didn't seek revenge for vengeance. I did it for closure, for the peace of my own heart. I did it so that I could move on, so that I could start afresh, so that I could reclaim my life from the ashes of a burnt past.